We are glad to have your company tonight. My name is Enora Gladys Abatoni. Let's kick off. Members of the East African Legislative Assembly say that although East African Community EAC partner states have made significant progress in facilitating regional trade, services at border posts continue to be hampered by failure to fully implement the laws and the regulations adopted by the community to promote trade and economic integration. We do have the details. A report presented to the African Legislative Assembly EALA by retired Honorable Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga, chairperson of the EAC Council of Ministers and Uganda's Minister for East African Community Affairs, on the achievements recorded during the 2025-2026 financial year, shows that intra-EAC trade increased by 28%, rising from $15.2 billion in 2024 to $19.3 billion in 2025. The growth was largely driven by increased cross-border trade among citizens within the region. The report attributes this strong performance to the benefits of the EAC Customs Union, trade facilitation reforms, improvements in regional infrastructure connecting partner states, and continued efforts to eliminate barriers affecting trade and investment within the community. It also shows that the EAC's total trade with the rest of the world grew by 25.4%, increasing from $124.9 billion in 2024 to $156.6 billion in 2025. During the same period, exports increased by 37.5% from $56 billion to $77 billion. Imports rose by 15.5% from $68.9 billion to $79.6 billion. As a result, the EAC trade deficit narrowed significantly, declining from $13 billion in 2024 to $2.6 billion in 2025. According to the report, this reflects increased regional production and improved market access for goods produced within the community. However, despite the encouraging figures, EALA legislators say there are still practical challenges to trade facilitation. Following oversight visits to 4 border posts across the region, members of parliament identified a number of issues that they intend to submit to the EAC Council of Ministers, urging partner states to address them as a matter of priority, as explained by Honorable Fatuma Ndangiza. The primary objective of the East African Community is to promote trade, and we do not want anything to hinder the smooth flow of commerce. We observed many positive achievements, such as the introduction of the one-stop border posts, where traveler clearance is expected to take no more than 5 minutes. However, we also found that some border posts, there are still delays. Officials told us that in some cases, clearance can take as long as 15 days due to congestion and other operational challenges. We also learned that there are interoperability issues between Rwanda's digital systems and those of some neighboring countries. Rwanda belongs to COMESA, while some of the other partner states do not, making it difficult for their electronic systems to communicate effectively. We are therefore calling on the concerned countries to work together and resolve these technical challenges. Similarly, at the Kenya-Tanzania border, we found differences in operating hours. Tanzania operates border services 24 hours a day, while Kenya operates for only 12 hours. This creates unnecessary delays and challenges for traders. We have therefore recommended that these issues be addressed. We also urge partner states to strengthen coordination and dialogue among their revenue authorities and relevant ministries so that challenges at border posts, particularly those affecting landlocked countries, can be effectively resolved. To further strengthen regional trade, the East African Community has continued efforts to eliminate non-tariff barriers that hinder the free movement of goods and services. Out of 61 identified non-tariff barriers, 35 have already been resolved, while the remaining cases are still being addressed through the community's established regional monitoring and resolution mechanisms. Now, moving on with more news ahead, Rwandan and foreign investors, along with the economic experts, say Rwanda's economy growing at a rate of 10% is clear indication that the country remains on the right path toward achieving its development goals. They based this assessment on the fact that the economy had already recorded growth rates of over 11% in the 2 preceding quarters. We do have the details. The 10% economic growth recorded in the first quarter of 2026 compared to the same period in 2025, follows Rwanda's overall 9.4% economic growth recorded for the whole of 2025. This sustained growth is one of the factors attracting foreign investors to Rwanda.
So Rwanda is, I would say, is a significant market for us in East Africa, and it gains even more significance because it's a place which is looking towards the future. It's a place which is highly digital. It's a place where there is the first adoption of the latest technologies. Rwanda is a very, very fast-growing market, is an extremely digital market, and we want to make sure that we are here in partnership with our partners on the ground to serve the customers. But I think what is important is that we want to serve Rwanda from Rwanda.
Import the raw materials. It comes from various countries, outside the continent. And basically, when we bring the raw material after that, we finish the products here in Rwanda. We manufacture those imifuka for different, clients. And then we export to the neighboring countries like DRC, Congo, Kenya, and there are some clients who are looking for Uganda also. So I always recommend people to come to Rwanda, invest in Rwanda, for the reason being it's all about the leadership.
The value of re-exports goods imported into Rwanda and then re-exported to other countries, including neighboring states, increased by 43.18%. Among the leading re-exported products are petroleum products, including diesel, petrol, and aviation fuel. These remain the largest category of goods that Rwanda imports and subsequently exports to other countries. For example, between 2020 and 2025, Rwanda re-exported more than 1 billion liters of diesel, petrol, and aviation fuel, generating over 1 trillion Rwandan francs in revenue.
So this is the reason why you find many investors who are targeting this region. They have to make sure to set up headquarters here, especially, for example, this construction of a depot. Nowadays, there are many investors who are expressing interest to invest in the construction of a depot here in Rwanda. But if you check behind, they are targeting this region. So it is really needed because the export it is contributing to the economic growth on a government, even on a private sector level.
As 2025 progressed, Rwanda's economic growth continued to accelerate, reaching 11.8% in the third quarter and 11.2% in the fourth quarter. It is this strong momentum that Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Yusuf Murangwa, says has contributed to the country's double-digit economic growth of 10% at the beginning of 2026.
And you see growth in wholesale and retail trade. And it also increased by 11%. And it has been consistently increasing over time. And you look, it has been on the ranges of 10, 12, 16, 15%, 20%. So this means that people are buying more. Yeah, if wholesale and retail trade grows, that means people are buying more from retail, but they're also buying more from wholesale. So this shows that the purchasing power of people is growing. But of course, human beings, we always want more. So our ambitions are much, much higher than what we are getting, which is good, but that should not negate, that should not remove the fact that people's well-being and purchasing power is also increasing with economic growth.
Economist John Bosco Kadisa says these figures demonstrate that Rwanda is on the right track toward achieving its long-term development ambitions.
So we are very confident, given the performance of the first quarter, that the indicators, those robust indicators, are going to be achieved, are going to be realized. A critical component, and I always mention about it, for a country, the growth numbers, they are very important. But the key in terms of the growth is productivity. Productivity accounts for almost 60% of our growth. So a country to achieve its target middle income status, it means that you need to have a stable, sustained growth. And I think when you look at all the sectors of the economy, the performance exemplary, very good, despite those external shocks or external risks. But the country is prepared. We have a very robust risk management matrix. And when you look at the NS2, the risk matrix is very robust.
However, the report also shows that imports declined by 3.4%, while exports fell by 23.7%, largely due to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, a region with which Rwanda conducts significant import and export trade. Survivors of the genocide against the Tutsi say the forgiveness they extended to those who killed their families reflects the progress Rwanda has made in rebuilding unity and reconciliation over the past 32 years. William Evans Mutawazi kicks off tonight.
Sylvain Twahirwa, a resident of Mutete sector in Gicumbi district, lost his parents and more than 20 family members during the genocide against the Tutsi. Today, he says he has forgiven those responsible, including a neighbor who took part in the killings. We do life together, we interact, intermarry, and I am a godfather to some of his children. Even now, I'm going to attend a wedding of my big brother's daughter, who is getting married to an ex-convict. His story is shared by other survivors in the sector, where more than 400 survivors and perpetrators are participating in 6 reconciliation groups. They say forgiveness has been made possible through Rwanda's continued efforts to promote unity, reconciliation, and resilience. But the government of unity, that I thank again, taught us living together in peace and harmony. It taught us that we are one Rwandan, it taught us unity, and we see each other as Rwandans, not as genocide survivors or genocide perpetrators. Our good leaders offered us good governance. The genocide against the Tutsi happened, but never again will it happen. Former perpetrators who have asked for forgiveness are also encouraging others who have yet to do so to come forward and acknowledge their crimes. Those who have never asked for forgiveness will never feel at peace. If they've served their sentence and are back to society, but still deny their responsibility, then they will never heal nor develop. That is why for us who came out earlier than them as colleagues who committed crimes together, we encourage them to come and ask for forgiveness. Twahirwa, whose family I killed, has forgiven me to an extent that he even is my children's godfather, and we are living with him in harmony. Speaking during national dialogue on the history of genocide against the Tutsi and the liberation struggle that ended it, President Paul Kagame said that forgiveness showed by survivors should serve as a lesson and an opportunity for others to reject hatred and choose a different path.
Ndengaho nkishyira no mu mwanya w'uwabibonye cyangwa uwabikorewe.
I go beyond and put myself in the shoes of those who witnessed it or the one that suffered it. It could be a survivor or one who saw atrocities happen to his family members and maybe they survived. What sort of heart would such a person have? If such a person sits down among people, if he sat down among us now, that is when you find a way of having such people return to human beings among us, but they can't do that if we ourselves have not been transformed. If you have not sacrificed something within you, that it comes out of you, that even if you didn't play a role in whatever happened was wrong and should never happen again. Or maybe that you played a role, but if you got a second chance at life, you would make a different choice and fight against it. According to the 2025 Rwanda Reconciliation Barometer, the country's reconciliation index has reached 95.3%, up 13 percentage points from 2010. The report attributes the improvement to sustained efforts to promote national unity, equal opportunities, justice, mental health support, and inclusive socio-economic development.
More than a decade after Rwanda adopted its family-based care policy, the National Child Development Agency (NCDA) says foster families known as Maraika Murinzi have become central to ensuring vulnerable children grow up in family environments rather than institutions. William Evans has more of the story.
When Pierre Kariveri Bizimana and his wife Immaculée Dusengimana welcomed 2 vulnerable children into their home in Muhanga district in 2022, they expanded more than just their family. They became part of Rwanda's efforts to replace institutional care with family-based care. The couple, already raising 3 biological children, later welcomed 2 more children, including a 3-year-old girl who was abandoned as an infant and another child previously raised in an orphanage. One day while at church, I saw 4 children. Since I am part of the protocol team at my church, I approached them and asked if I could help them find where to sit. They told me that people call them thieves whenever they tried accessing the church. I encouraged them to attend service, but later noticed that after church, they had nowhere to go. Then, I engaged the church leadership and arrangements were made for me to take the 2 home, and the other 2 were taken by someone else.
I
remember that when they arrived here, he mentioned that these are children God has given me. I must take good care of them. That is how we took on the responsibility to take care of them as our very own children.
Another foster family, Faustine Sanzimana and Marie Chantal Uzabachiza, has spent the last 3 years caring for a man with severe intellectual disabilities after he left institutional care, saying they have witnessed remarkable improvements in his well-being. The only thing he remembers is his mother's brutal murder during the genocide against the Tutsi. She was beheaded. He does not recall where he came from.
He demonstrates and expresses in sign language that his mother was beheaded and dumped in a pit together with a little child and another presumed family member. We have witnessed good progress in him since then. He is now able to speak and he helps with chores, which makes a big difference from when he was just from the institutional care.
Officials say that foster families provide temporary and long-term care, while specially trained families support children with complex needs, including severe disabilities. Muhanga's vice mayor in charge of social affairs says that these families have become indispensable in protecting vulnerable children. These families are very helpful, and this is a timely initiative that originally was from the First Lady. We have cases of abandoned children, but also those without a trace of their families. Foster families, therefore, support the government's vision of raising all children in a family setting. According to the NCDA, Rwanda now has more than 4,000 registered foster families across the country. The agency says that Tubarerere Murugo program, launched in 2013, has transformed child protection. At the time, 33 child care institutions housed 3,597 children. Today, only 2 centers remain, SOS Nyamagabe with 3 children and SOS Gicumbi with 6 children. Most of the children have either been reunited with their families or placed in foster homes, marking a significant shift towards family-based care in Rwanda.
Members of the RPF in Hotanyi in Northern Province say they are committed to accelerating the implementation of the party's manifesto by addressing the remaining challenges affecting citizens' livelihoods, including creating more employment opportunities for young people facing unemployment. Adam Squizera has the details.
Putting the citizens first, building a secure family was the theme of the RPF in Hotanyi General Assembly held in the Northern Province. During this assembly, members from all districts of the province attended the two presentations, one on the progress made in implementing the RPF Ingotany Manifesto and another on promoting strong and secure families. After reviewing the key challenges that still require attention, members left with clear action points and strategies to help them address them. The assembly brought together RPF Ingotany members from different sectors, including senators, members of parliament, private sector representatives, and other stakeholders. They exchanged ideas on how to continue placing citizens at the center of development and accelerate the implementation of the party's manifesto. The RPF Ingotany chairperson for the Northern Province, Mugabo Agahunde Maurice, commended the achievements made in the province while calling on members to strengthen their efforts. Representing the Secretariat General of the RPF Ingotany, Semasaka Gabriel, asked members to speed up the implementation of the resolutions adopted during party's National Congress and to address the challenges. More than 450 members attended the General Assembly, where they were also reminded to uphold exemplary conduct and serve as role models in their communities. The Assembly reviewed activities implemented during the 2025-2026 fiscal year and outlined priorities and planned activities for the 2026-27 fiscal year.
And now that wraps up today's English News Bulletin. On behalf of the whole technical team, thank you so much for watching. Have a good night and a fruitful week ahead. My name is Enora Gladys. Have a good night.